Every couple envisions that perfect wedding day, right? The fairy tale ceremony, the stunning reception, just the joy of starting a new life together, surrounded by everyone you love.
It's the dream. Absolutely.
But then, almost inevitably, the reality often hits. Those enormous bills, the spreadsheets that just seem to grow and grow.
The spreadsheets.
Exactly. And that sort of sinking feeling that maybe you have to settle for something simpler just to keep your bank account from, well, screaming.
It's a really common dilemma, that pull between the dream and the finances.
How do you reconcile your dream celebration with your financial future? What if I told you you didn't actually have to choose?
That's the key question, isn't it?
Today, we're taking a deep dive into precisely that challenge. Our mission is to give you an easy, actionable, step-by-step guide to planning an elegant, beautiful, and honestly, profoundly memorable wedding without completely emptying your bank account.
And we've really dug into it, looking at insights from, wedding industry experts, seasoned party planners, and loads of budget-savvy couples who've genuinely mastered this.
They've proved it can be done. An unforgettable day doesn't need an unlimited budget.
No, not at all.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because, who doesn't want their big day to be amazing without all that financial stress sort of overshadowing the joy of it all?
It's a universal aspiration, definitely.
Right.
And often, the first hurdle isn't just financial, it's almost psychological, Simply believing it's possible to have both the elegance and the affordability.
Right. Like you have to pick one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But our sources consistently show that the path to that elegant yet affordable wedding, it begins not with grand gestures, but with really thoughtful, disciplined planning and open communication, right from the very start.
Absolutely. It sounds like a fundamental shift in perspective is kind of key here. So, okay, before any Pinterest boards get filled with like extravagant ideas or any dress shopping even begins, we need to talk money. Why is a budget so profoundly crucial for a wedding? And, where do we even begin with such a potentially daunting task?
Well, what's fascinating here, I think, is that budgeting for your wedding isn't just about saving money in the short term. It's really about setting the stage for a healthy financial marriage down the road.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's bigger than just the wedding day itself.
Much bigger. Our sources repeatedly highlight that wedding costs can just spiral out of control with, frankly, alarming speed. And that could potentially lead to debt and even conflict before you even say, I do.
Wow. Before you're even married.
Yeah. In fact, one source notes that money is the #1 thing married couples fight about, and often that tension actually begins long before the wedding itself.
That really puts it in perspective.
It does. It underscores how this initial financial planning isn't just about the event. It's really about building a cornerstone for your entire future together.
Okay, so let's get practical. What's the reality check here?
Let's ground this in reality for a moment. The sobering truth about wedding costs reveals that the average cost of a wedding in the U.S., it typically ranges from over $19,000 to $20,000.
19 to 20,000.
Easily. And often it climbs much, much higher. And get this, that figure doesn't even include the honeymoon.
Oof.
So this isn't just a statistic. It's a stark reminder of the potential for rapid cost escalation. Planning a wedding without a really well-defined budget isn't just risky. Our sources suggest it's, and I quote, almost guaranteed to land you into serious financial debt.
Which is the last thing you want starting out.
Precisely. A burden no couple wants to carry into their new life.
So where's step one in avoiding that?
So the first, most pivotal step is open communication and building a shared vision for your non-negotiables. The absolute first tip that emerges from, well, all our experts is to discuss finances well before any wedding plans begin to take shape.
Not after you've fallen in love with the expensive venue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This isn't just a casual chat. It's a dedicated conversation. It's crucial for everyone involved in decision-making, so that's both partners, and importantly, any contributing family members, to have a clear and shared understanding of the money that's actually available.
Avoid those assumptions.
Totally. Many couples start planning with assumptions, and that just leads to misunderstandings down the line. Our sources also emphasize that while, yes, women often handle many of the aesthetic details, it's vital to remember it's the man's big day too.
Tip point.
And he often has family expectations or his own desires to consider. So find somewhere quiet, away from distractions, maybe over a relaxed dinner, and truly talk about what's important to each of you regarding your wedding day.
Okay, like what specifically?
Make a list of wants. These are the dream elements. Maybe that horse-drawn carriage, serving lobster, a specific Renaissance theme you've always loved, or a detailed color scheme. Then create a separate list of absolute necessities,
The must-haves.
the non-negotiables. Things like a photographer to capture those irreplaceable memories, a caterer, the rings themselves. And the act of truly listening to your partner during this process is just as important as expressing your own desires.
It's that first step in teamwork.
Exactly. It's the beginning of compromise and shared decision-making that will extend far beyond the wedding day. This initial alignment, it's a bedrock.
Okay, bedrock established. We've talked. What's next? The numbers.
Following that foundational discussion, we move to crunching the numbers, determining your financial resources.
Yeah.
This is where you identify exactly how much money is available right now.
Like in the bank today.
Yep. Look at current funds in savings accounts, any existing investments like stocks or bonds, maybe real estate assets that could be liquidated, or trust funds, if that applies. Then be brutally honest with yourselves about how much you will realistically commit to saving from your regular income streams between now and the wedding date.
So setting a savings goal per month.
Precisely. If you aim to save an additional $500 per month, factor that in. And if others are contributing, approach this with realistic and gracious expectations. Our sources really advise taking whatever is offered graciously.
Don't make demands.
Absolutely. Avoid making unrealistic demands or getting angry or disappointed if the amount isn't what you hoped for. It's a mature approach to what can be a sensitive topic.
Definitely.
And here's a savvy tip, especially for weddings planned far in advance, say 12, 18 months or more. Financial planners suggest considering opening a high-yield savings account or maybe a money market account.
To make the money grow a bit.
That's exactly. These aren't high-risk investments, but they typically offer significantly better interest rates than standard checking or savings, sometimes 5, even 10 times higher.
Wow.
Yeah. You won't get rich, obviously, but earning even 3–4% on your growing wedding fund can quietly add hundreds, maybe even thousands over a year or two. It's making your money work for you without any extra effort.
That's incredibly smart advice, making your money work for you, especially when you're thinking long term. Okay, but once we have that total number from savings, contributions, future savings, how do we prevent it from just being a free-for-all? How do we allocate those funds strategically?
That's precisely where allocating funds and sticking to your blueprint comes in. Once you have a clear picture of your total financial resources, your total pot, you divide it into categories.
Like buckets for spending.
Exactly like buckets.
Yep.
Think about the big ticket items first. The venue, food and drink, attire for both of you, transportation, entertainment, photography. But also remember the smaller categories. Favors, centerpieces, gifts for the wedding party, and crucially, a contingency fund.
Oh, for the unexpected stuff.
Always. Many experts recommend setting aside maybe 5–10% of your total budget just for unforeseen expenses because, let's be honest, something always comes up.
Murphy's Law of Weddings.
Pretty much. Then, assign a specific dollar amount or maybe a percentage of your total budget to each category, each bucket. This detailed allocation will be invaluable when you start contracting for services because it gives you a clear upper limit for each one.
Okay, so you know how much you can spend on the photographer, for instance.
Precisely. And remember the golden rule here. Our sources really stress this. If you exceed your budgeted amount in one category, you must scale back in another area to keep the overall budget balanced.
It's a zero-sum game within the budget.
It has to be to avoid debt. And to make this whole process easier, leverage the many tools available. There are tons of wedding budget worksheets, specialized software, online planners. They're widely accessible and can really streamline this, turning it from a massive headache into a manageable project.
That makes so much sense, the idea of a balanced budget acting like a living document. But this often involves contributions from family, right? You mentioned that earlier. How do we ensure everyone involved, especially if parents are contributing, is fully on board with this budget and not inadvertently, pushing for things that break the bank?
That's a crucial point and a really common scenario.
Right.
One tip that emerged strongly from our sources for exactly that situation is this. Once you've drafted the budget, set it aside for a few days.
Let it breathe.
Exactly. Let it breathe. This gives everyone a chance for the information to sink in, to reflect on it without that immediate pressure. Then come back together and review it with all participants, both partners, and any contributing family members to verify complete understanding and agreement.
So everyone signs off, basically.
Essentially, yes. This step is vitally important to prevent overspending in one area that then jeopardizes the rest of the budget, or worse, causes friction among those contributing. It creates a shared commitment and accountability ensuring everyone is literally on the same page. And
That's really smart. Prevents awkwardness later.
definitely. Without this step, even the most meticulously planned budget can unravel under those external pressures or, unspoken expectations.
So the budget isn't a restriction. It's more like a collaborative roadmap, a really detailed, flexible one that actually creates a sense of empowerment rather than limitation, doesn't it?
Really should.
Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting for me. Once we have that financial roadmap clearly laid out, how do we actually achieve that dream wedding within those numbers without it constantly feeling like we're pulling back or making painful compromises?
Exactly. This is where the mindset shift really happens. It's about moving from thinking about what you can't have to focusing on what incredible, unique things you can create within your means.
Okay, because many couples, they dream of that celebrity-style wedding, right, with all the glamour and the bespoke details. But the idea of a budget wedding often conjures images of compromise or like sacrificing those dream elements. Is it truly possible to have an elegant day without constantly feeling like you're giving something up?
Well, what's fascinating here is how often the sources emphasize that budget absolutely does not mean sacrificing elegance or your dreams. On the contrary, it means unlocking this profound level of resourcefulness and creativity.
So it's a different approach, not a lesser one.
Precisely. One source even playfully suggests, and I love this, the more you spend on a wedding, the tackier it gets.
Huh, really?
Yeah. It highlights a growing trend towards budget weddings that actually prioritize sentimentality and unique personal touches over just sheer extravagance. It's about finding smart alternatives that often yield more memorable, more meaningful results.
Okay, I like the sound of that.
Our sources are very clear on challenging this whole notion of compromise. They assert, you shouldn't give up on your dreams. Your wedding is a special day. They also state that having a celebrity-style wedding reception doesn't have to mean cleaning out your bank account.
There are ways around it.
There are. Wedding industry expert Anna Griffin in particular, she assures us, there are many ways to have the wedding of your dreams without the nightmare of huge bills. The key, she says, is that you just have to be resourceful.
Resourceful, that's the word.
That's the core message. The overarching theme is powerful.
Yeah.
Budget weddings don't have to mean that you have to give up on style or sentimentality. It's a truly liberating perspective, I think, that encourages ingenuity and personalization, rather than feeling limited by a number.
Okay, so how do we cultivate that resourcefulness? What's the next step?
This liberating mindset leads us directly to embracing resourcefulness and DIY for your personal touch. The core idea, as we just mentioned, is you just have to be resourceful. This means actively using your imagination and, yes, sometimes your own hands to craft elements of your wedding.
Getting crafty.
A little bit. You can substitute creativity for cash by focusing on how to make your wedding truly unique and personal, rather than dwelling on what you perceive you can't afford. For instance, many wedding accessories think about the veil, the centerpieces, even the invitations themselves that can often be made instead of bought.
Which saves money, obviously, but also.
But also, more importantly, it infuses your wedding with this deeply personal touch that professional services, however skilled they are, might not always capture. We tracked one couple, both were graphic designers, and they decided to make their own invitations.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they said it became this fantastic pre-wedding date night activity fueled by pizza and 80s music.
Love it.
And the guests absolutely raved about the personal touch. They often shared how they felt a deeper connection to the couple just by holding such a unique handmade piece. Think about the stories you'll tell later, not just the money you saved right now.
That sounds incredibly personal and fun, adding so much meaning. But let's be real, for many couples, their troops, their friends and family, they might not have a strong aesthetic eye. Or maybe they just don't have the time to devote to extensive DIY projects. Do your sources address the potential pitfalls of relying too heavily on DIY? Like, how do you avoid a charming idea turning into a stressful, maybe even amateur-looking reality?
That's a very practical question, and our sources absolutely do address that. It brings us to the next crucial step: enlisting your troops, the power of friends and family. While yes, professionals are highly skilled and their fees reflect that expertise, a truly great way to save money and to deepen the community spirit of your wedding is to find people willing to help for free.
Tapping into your network.
Exactly. Our advice is to look no further than your family and friends. Enlist as many as you realistically can. This even includes children, who can be especially helpful with repetitive crafts like folding programs or attaching ribbons. It makes them feel like a valued part of the special day.
Oh, that's a nice touch.
It really is. For instance, one groom recounted how his best man, who was a budding videographer, offered to film their ceremony and reception.
Instead of hiring someone.
Right. The footage wasn't, cinematic level, but he said it was so authentic, so heartfelt, and it captured these candid moments a hired professional might have missed entirely, all for the cost of a really nice thank you gift.
That's amazing. But what's the key to making that work smoothly?
Here's the key. Don't wait until the last minute to ask for assistance. Let people know way in advance so they can genuinely plan to help, if they can and want to. And critically, it's a really good idea to show your appreciation.
How so?
Either by inviting your wedding reception helpers to the traditional rehearsal dinner with the wedding party, or maybe by hosting a separate fun event specifically to thank them afterwards, like a casual brunch or pizza night. Their contribution is a gift in itself, and acknowledging it properly really reinforces those bonds.
That's a powerful idea, involving your community in such a personal way. Okay, so we've got our vision, we've got our budget blueprint, we've potentially got some helpful friends lined up. But then we hit the market, right? We inevitably have to face vendors for the big items, the venue, the caterer, the photographer. I've heard they can be quite savvy, especially when they know you're working with a budget. So how do our sources advise we navigate that potential hard sell without overspending?
You've hit on a really critical point there, and it leads directly to shopping smart and not being afraid to negotiate, saving thousands. First off, be prepared for the hard sell. It happens. Vendors often see dollar signs when they encounter newly engaged couples, especially those, swept up in the romance of it all.
Understandable, but you need to stay grounded.
Exactly. A critical tip here, underlined by basically every expert we looked at, is to always shop around. Always get at least 3 quotes for each service you're considering. You'll often be genuinely surprised by the variation in prices for what seems like similar quality and service.
So don't just go with the first one you like.
Definitely not. And if you find a vendor you absolutely love, their style is perfect, but their quote is just a bit outside your budget category, don't be afraid to talk to them.
Like, actually negotiate.
Yes, tell them you adore their work, be specific about why, but explain that their price is a little high for your budget. Then ask, very politely, is there anything you could do to help us fit this within our budget? Sometimes they can offer slight package adjustments, maybe slightly less coverage time, or suggest off-peak dates or times that might reduce the cost.
Okay, so it's worth asking.
Absolutely. And crucially, and this is a major warning from our sources, do not tell a vendor your budget upfront.
Really? Why not?
As one source warns, quite bluntly, somehow all the photographers will quote you $1,500 when you tell them your budget is $1,500.
Ah, they priced your maximo.
It can happen. Instead, ask for their price first. Or if they offer packages, ask for the most popular price point or a range. This allows you to evaluate their true value without them potentially anchoring their price to your perceived limit.
That's sneaky but smart.
It's strategic. And it also doesn't hurt to let it slip subtly that you will be visiting some of their competitors. A little friendly competition can sometimes work wonders for your wallet.
Okay, that advice about not telling vendors your budget up front is really savvy and definitely something many couples might not realize. But I wonder, don't some vendors maybe appreciate that transparency? Or could it come across as being, I don't know, too adversarial? Do your sources suggest any situations where being upfront might actually work to your advantage, or at least not hurt you?
That's a great question, and it really comes down to the relationship you build and the vendor's own approach. Our sources suggest that while generally, yes, holding your budget close to your chest is the safest opening gambit, there are nuances.
Okay.
If you've already established a really good rapport with a vendor, maybe you've had a great initial meeting, and they've shown genuine interest in your vision rather than just launching into their sales pitch.
Right, you get a feel for them.
Exactly. In that situation, you might be able to say something like, look, we really love your work, and our ideal budget for this particular category is X. Are there perhaps ways we could tailor a package or service to get as close to that as possible?
So framing it collaboratively.
Precisely.
Yeah.
This shifts it from sounding like a demand to more of a collaborative problem-solving exercise. However, you always need to be prepared for the answer to be no,
Right.
or for the compromise to be something you don't want.
Manage expectations.
Absolutely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this whole proactive and strategic approach to vendor relations is crucial, not just for immediate savings on individual services, but for managing expectations throughout the entire planning process. And importantly, for starting your married life on a solid financial footing, actively avoiding that unnecessary debt.
It's about being an informed consumer.
Exactly. which is a valuable life skill for any couple navigating major decisions together long after the wedding cake is eaten.
That's a fantastic rundown of how to shift your mindset and approach the planning with creativity and some savvy negotiation tactics. Now that we've got that foundation solid, let's dive into the biggest areas where you can make a real dent in those costs. Where should couples start looking for maximum impact?
This raises that really important question.
Hmm.
Which elements truly move the needle on cost? Where's the biggest bang for your buck, or rather the biggest saving? Our sources consistently point to two primary areas: the guest list and the venue. Those are usually the heavy hitters.
Okay, guest list and venue.
But that being said, there are pretty significant savings to be found across almost every single category if you make smart choices.
Right, let's break those down. Where first?
So let's talk about the guest list, your biggest cost-saving lever. This is a fundamental truth, almost unavoidable. The more guests you invite to your wedding, the more money you'll spend, period.
Because everything is per head, basically.
Exactly. The food, the drinks, often the favors, the linens, the chair rentals. So many costs are calculated on a per-head basis. This often means making some tough, sometimes emotionally charged decisions.
Yeah, I can imagine that's difficult.
It really is. If needed, the most impactful way to save money is by inviting only your close friends and family. And this means explicitly considering leaving out, as one source puts it, friends of friends or distant family members that you may not have seen for 10 years.
The obligation invites?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Our sources suggest prioritizing only the people who are truly important to you and your parents, rather than feeling obligated to invite absolutely everyone you know. Think about those people who might feel they should come if invited, but wouldn't actually be genuinely upset if they weren't asked.
It's a fine line.
It is. Trimming the guest list is often the single most cost-saving thing you can possibly do for a budget wedding, but it absolutely presents significant emotional challenges.
So how do you handle that, especially with family pressure?
Well, many couples struggle with this, especially when, parents or other family members have strong opinions about who must be invited. Our sources recommend having a clear but empathetic conversation early on.
Setting expectations again.
Exactly. You might explain, look, we've set a firm budget because we really want to start our married life debt-free, and the guest list is the single biggest factor affecting that budget. So we need to prioritize inviting the very closest people in our lives.
Frame it positively about the future.
Right. One creative solution a couple we looked at found was to host a smaller, really intimate wedding ceremony and reception for their absolute nearest and dearest. Then they planned a larger, much more casual post-wedding celebration, like a big BBQ or picnic a few months later for all those Tier 2 guests.
Oh, that's clever.
It allowed them to celebrate with everyone important to them, but without the massive formal per-head cost for a full reception for everybody. It's about finding that balance between obligation and affordability, and communicating that plan clearly and lovingly.
That's a really insightful approach to handling what can be a very delicate issue. Okay, so once you've hopefully narrowed down the guest list, the next big hurdle is often the place where everyone gathers, the venue. So let's move to venue wisdom, creative locations, and strategic timing. You said this is usually the most expensive part.
Often, yes. The venue can easily consume 40, sometimes even 50% of the entire wedding budget. So this is another area ripe for truly significant savings.
Okay, so what are the alternatives to the standard pricey wedding hall?
Our sources suggest exploring cost-effective alternatives that absolutely don't look cheap. Think about elegant restaurants, maybe ones with private rooms, or even local church halls, which often have large spaces available for rent at much lower rates.
Restaurants could work well.
They can. If you choose a restaurant, though, a crucial detail is to verify up front if you can use your own flatware, plates, and glasses. Sometimes they insist you use theirs. But if you can bring your own, you can often purchase really elegant versions of these at discount shops or online for maybe under $100 for a significant number of guests.
Which is way cheaper than renting, usually.
Dramatically less expensive than renting from the venue or a party rental company, often. Another truly personal and budget-friendly option is to consider personal spaces, maybe having your reception at home if you have the space, or asking a family member if they can host it in their garden or backyard.
Like that backyard wedding example.
Exactly. One couple transformed their aunt's expansive backyard into this whimsical reception space with just string lights, rented tables, and some creative decor, saved tens of thousands. Also, if your chosen venue allows it, holding both the ceremony and the reception in the same location cuts down on transport costs for guests and vendors, plus you might get better all-inclusive package deals.
Makes sense. What about timing? Does that affect venue cost?
Hugely. Timing is everything. Summer, June, July, August is typically the most popular and consequently the most expensive time to get married. Hotels and venues charge premium prices during this busy season due to simple supply and demand.
So avoid peak season if possible.
Consider less popular months. September and October, for example, are quickly gaining popularity. They offer beautiful autumn foliage, often more moderate temperatures, and venues might have lower rates or more availability.
What about days of the week?
Big difference there, too. Saturday is prime time. Consider a Friday evening, a Sunday afternoon, or even a weekday wedding if your key guests can make it work. Brunch weddings are also becoming trendy and can be significantly cheaper than evening receptions.
Okay, lots to think about with timing. And location itself.
Yes, location impact is real. Be aware that certain cities think New York, Los Angeles, major metropolitan areas are just inherently more expensive. Also, distant destination wedding locales can ramp up costs quickly due to high travel expenses for everyone, including you and your vendors, or sometimes a lack of competition among local vendors drives prices up. Researching local market rates can reveal surprising regional differences.
That's a comprehensive breakdown of venue savings. Super helpful. Okay, once the setting is sorted, attention often turns to what everyone's wearing, the attire. The bridal outfit alone can be a substantial sum, right? Plus bridesmaid dresses, groom and groomsmen suits. How do we approach attire elegance without the sticker shock?
This is an area where sentimentality and savings can beautifully intertwine, actually. For your something old and something truly unique, consider wearing a vintage wedding dress.
Like from a vintage shop?
Exactly. You can save hundreds, maybe even thousands, by shopping in consignment or vintage shops, checking newspaper classifieds online, or browsing online bridal forums or marketplaces. Often these dresses are exquisitely made with incredible craftsmanship, and they carry a unique history.
That sounds lovely.
Another truly beautiful and deeply personal option is to update your mother's or grandmother's or maybe an aunt's wedding dress.
Oh, repurposing a family heirloom.
Yes, a good seamstress can work wonders. Maybe a new neckline or hemline, adding some new beading or lace, or even completely transforming the silhouette can personalize it and bring a cherished family heirloom beautifully into the modern age. One listener actually wrote in about this.
Oh, yeah.
She wore her grandmother's gown, and with just a few subtle alterations and a modern lace overlay, she said it became the absolute centerpiece of her wedding. It made her feel so connected to the generations of women in her family.
That's incredibly special.
Isn't it? Also, keep an eye out for discounted sales at bridal boutiques. Sample sales can be amazing finds. Or even ask a skilled relative, perhaps your grandmother, if they'd be willing to make your gown. They'd often be thrilled and honored to do so, and it adds immense sentimental value.
And for the wedding party.
For bridesmaids and groomsmen, you don't have to buy expensive matching outfits. Consider having them wear something they already own, maybe within a specific color palette. Or suggest dress rental services, which are becoming much more common and stylish. Renting suits for the guys instead of buying is almost always more cost-effective.
Those are fantastic ways to make attire both meaningful and affordable. Okay, now let's talk about everyone's favorite part of almost any celebration, the food and drinks. How can couples apply savvy catering and drink choices to save money without compromising on the feast?
This is a huge opportunity for savings, as catering is usually the biggest per-head cost after the venue itself. To simplify food choices and significantly save money, caterers often charge less when you order by the plate rather than a huge, varied buffet.
Oh, really? I thought buffets were cheaper.
Not always. Offering guests, say, 3 choices when they RSVP, maybe a beef, a chicken, and a vegetarian option, allows the caterer to manage portions and costs much more efficiently. This often results in a lower price per guest. However, that said, sometimes a well-planned buffet can be less expensive than a very formal multi-course seated dinner, and it offers a more relaxed atmosphere and often more variety for guests. So you need to compare quotes for both options based on your specific menu ideas.
Okay, worth getting quotes for both styles then. What about the cake, the big centerpiece?
The wedding cake. It can be incredibly expensive due to the intricate artistry involved. So consider this clever trick our sources mentioned. Purchase a beautifully decorated sheet cake from a good local bakery in addition to a smaller, elegant tiered cake.
A smaller one for show.
Exactly. You then visually marry them together, maybe with some elegant piping, fresh flowers, or strategically placed rose petals that match your theme. The smaller tiered cake is perfect for the traditional cutting ceremony and those all-important photos. Meanwhile, the The sheet cake, which is much, much more cost-effective per serving, is kept in the kitchen and sliced up to serve as the main dessert for your guests.
And nobody knows the difference.
Honestly, no one will know the difference, and you can save a bundle.
Genius. Okay, what about drinks? That bar tab can get scary.
Oh, definitely. Drinks are a major area of venue markup. And this is a big if your venue allows it, a crucial step is to purchase your own alcohol instead of using their bar services.
Bring your own booze.
Essentially, yes. Venues will almost always charge you retail prices, plus often a hefty corkage fee per bottle just for opening it. But even with a corkage fee, buying alcohol wholesale or from a discount liquor store can still be significantly cheaper overall. You just need to run the numbers.
Definitely worth investigating.
For outdoor weddings, especially, make sure you have plenty of refreshing non-alcoholic beverages readily available. Lots of water, maybe some juices or iced tea throughout the ceremony and reception to prevent dehydration, especially in warmer climates.
Good safety tip, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for an elegant yet surprisingly inexpensive touch for the tables, consider placing a delicious assortment of divinity on each one.
Divinity. What's that?
It's a type of light, fluffy, nougat-like candy, usually made with egg whites, sugar, and nuts like pecans. It's kind of old-fashioned, really charming, looks beautiful, and is surprisingly budget-friendly to buy or even make. A lovely sweet treat for guests to nibble on.
Divinity. What a lovely, unexpected touch. And yeah, cutting costs on alcohol is always a winner.
Okay, what about music and entertainment alternatives? Does having a budget wedding mean sacrificing the dance floor or having awkward silence?
Not at all. It just means rethinking how you fill that dance floor. Unless you happen to know someone personally who will offer you a very, very cheap price. Our sources generally suggest skipping the expensive professional DJ and definitely the live band, which can run into thousands of dollars very quickly.
So, what's the alternative? Your phone?
Pretty much. A less expensive and actually still very personal choice is simply creating a few carefully curated playlists on an MP3 player or a streaming service.
Like a Spotify playlist?
Exactly. And what's interesting is that our sources reveal skipping the live band or DJ and opting for a curated playlist isn't just about saving money. It can be a profound statement about personalization.
One expert noted that these self-made playlists often become a kind of soundtrack of the couple's relationship, infused with this unique intimacy and shared history, inside jokes, songs from first dates, family favorites that no professional DJ, however skilled, can possibly replicate just by asking for a few requests.
That makes it really personal.
It turns passive entertainment into a more active emotional connection for guests, who often comment on how well the music truly reflects the couple. You control the mood, the volume, the exact flow, all without the high cost.
Okay, I'm sold on the playlist idea. What about capturing the memories, photography and videography, smartly? This feels like an area you shouldn't skimp too much on, right?
It's definitely important. Memories are priceless. But you can still be budget conscious. Consider hiring a professional photographer just for the ceremony itself, maybe for an hour or two of portraits afterwards. This ensures those key, irreplaceable moments, the vows, the kiss, the walk down the aisle, formal family shots are perfectly documented with professional quality lighting and composition.
And for the rest of the day.
For the rest of the day, the getting ready chaos, the reception candids, the fun on the dance floor. Ask talented family members or friends who have a good eye and are interested in photography or videography to capture moments.
The designated amateur.
Kind of. But often they'd be genuinely pleased and honored to take on such a responsibility. Their candid shots can add this wonderful, personal, often more relaxed dimension to your wedding album or video. One couple we read about provided disposable cameras on each reception table.
Oh, I remember those.
Yeah. They said the photos were hilarious and spontaneous and just captured the party atmosphere in a way the formal photographer didn't. Unique keepsakes.
Fun idea. Okay, last big ticket item. Transportation with character and savings. Getting to and from the ceremony and reception. How do we avoid the standard expensive limo?
Instead of that expensive limousine, consider contacting a local antique or classic car club. You can often rent a really stunning luxury vintage vehicle. Think about arriving in a 1939 Rolls-Royce or departing in a classic 1952 Cadillac DeVille.
Wow, that sounds way cooler than a limo.
Right. Owners of these cars are often, as one source put it, thrilled to loan out their cars for special occasions. And the bonus. You typically get more room inside, plus you often get the benefit of keeping the antique vehicle for maybe 24 hours or longer, sometimes at a much lower price, than a standard limo rented for just a few hours.
Plus, amazing photo ops.
Incredible photo opportunities. It's a memorable, elegant alternative that also saves money.
That's a fantastic rundown of where the major money goes and how to get truly creative in those big ticket areas. It feels like almost every category has a smart, often more personal alternative.
Yeah.
But it's often the small details, isn't it? The little things that make a wedding truly special, those personal touches that guests really remember. And I imagine those can add up too, right?
That's absolutely right. Those small details can definitely add up if you're not careful. But this raises that important question. How do we infuse personality and elegance into the wedding without the hefty price tag that comes with, say, designer details or custom everything?
Yeah, how do you get that bespoke feel on a budget?
Our sources show that with resourcefulness and maybe a little bit of DIY magic, these small touches can actually have a big impact while keeping costs surprisingly low.
Okay, where do we start with the small stuff? Invitations.
Let's start right there with DIY invitations and paper goods, your personal brand. Our sources strongly recommend, quite simply, print your own invitations. Many wedding accessories, including the invites, can definitely be made instead of bought if you have the time and inclination.
Are there tools to help with that? I'm not a graphic designer.
Oh, definitely. Do-it-yourself kits are widely available now at craft stores and online. They often help you create really designer looks without the designer price tags. There are lines like the Wedding Studio, for example, that offer paper-related wedding accessories specifically designed for creating original and elegant paper goods. They often include the invitation paper, envelopes, reply cards, even printing instructions.
So it guides you through it.
Exactly. For things like place cards, you could purchase an inexpensive greeting card software program and some elegant cardstock paper. Then just use an inkjet printer at home. To save on postage and materials, consider printing reception details directly on the wedding invitation itself instead of using separate enclosure cards. Saves paper, saves printing, saves postage.
Smart. What if you have a massive guest list? Printing hundreds sounds like a lot of work.
For a very long guest list, a really smart modern approach is to maybe send traditional paper invitations to your close family and maybe the older generation, and then perhaps email beautifully designed digital invitations to others, like friends your own age. It's a modern, eco-friendly, and certainly cost-effective solution to that particular challenge.
That's brilliant for saving on paper goods. Now, when I think wedding decor, flowers immediately come to mind. They're so beautiful, but can be incredibly expensive, as you mentioned. How do we handle creative and affordable flowers setting the tone without blowing the budget?
You're right. Flowers can account for a significant portion, also around 15% maybe, of the overall wedding cost. But there are definitely smart alternatives to hiring an expensive florist for everything.
Like what?
One incredibly clever trick suggested is to contact a local floral design school. You might be able to hire students to provide arrangements. They're often eager for real-world experience and portfolio pieces and typically charge much, much less than established professionals.
Oh, that's a great inside tip.
Isn't it? Or you can truly go DIY and create your own arrangements. And here's something fascinating from our sources about DIY flowers. The counterintuitive power of monochromatic design.
Meaning just one color.
Yes, or one type of flower. By focusing on a single flower type, like maybe just baby's breath or just white roses bought in bulk, you not only achieve significant savings compared to complex mixed bouquets, but you also create this incredibly sophisticated and cohesive visual statement.
Simple but impactful.
Exactly. It's a design principle that prioritizes impactful simplicity over busy extravagance, and it often yields a more high-end, curated look than a diverse, scattered arrangement might. Many wholesale florists will actually sell directly to consumers if you ask, cutting out the retail florist middleman.
Good to know. Any other flower hacks?
To further economize without sacrificing romance, you can intermingle beautiful and realistic-looking silk flowers with your fresh arrangements. This can add volume and texture where needed, especially for things like large altarpieces or entryway displays.
And the silk ones last forever.
Exactly. They can even be kept for years afterward as cherished keepsakes. And for a truly dramatic and sweet-smelling entrance, consider lining a walkway to the reception venue or maybe the aisle in a tent with fresh rose petals. It looks incredibly opulent, but can be surprisingly affordable if you buy just the petals in bulk from a wholesaler.
Nice. Okay, moving beyond flowers, let's talk about decorating with ingenuity and discount finds. How do you make a space feel special without spending a fortune on decorations?
Especially for venues like reception tents or maybe even plain community halls, you can create a truly romantic and luxurious environment pretty affordably. One great tip is purchasing sheer fabric like tulle or organza and maybe some wide 2-inch ribbon from a local discount retailer or fabric store.
And just drape it around?
Yes, use these materials to drape around the canopy edges, create soft billows of fabric overhead, wrap any unsightly poles, and maybe swag it elegantly in the entryway. The effect can be absolutely breathtaking and far less expensive than hiring professional decorators or renting expensive lighting rigs.
Creates that soft, romantic feel.
Totally. And for added fun and ambiance, especially for an evening reception or the dance floor, consider renting a bubble machine. You can often find them at party supply stores or even big retailers like Walmart. It provides this whimsical, celebratory atmosphere that guests of all ages seem to love. Simple, cheap, effective.
I love the idea of creating such a grand effect with just discount fabrics and bubbles. It really underscores that creativity over cash mantra. Okay, what about the tables themselves? How do we approach unique and inexpensive table settings and centerpieces to impress guests without breaking the bank?
This is another area where small choices can have a really big impact visually and financially. Renting table settings, plates, cutlery, glasses, and especially things like white linen tablecloths can quickly become expensive, adding up per guest.
So what's the alternative? Paper plates.
No, not necessarily. Instead, our sources suggest considering purchasing clear glass plates from a discount retailer like IKEA or a dollar store. They look surprisingly elegant. You can then maybe stack a salad plate on top of a dinner plate and perhaps place a large, interesting leaf like a clean magnolia leaf or a fern frond between the two for a very pretty and organic table setting.
And buying might be cheaper than renting.
Often, yes, especially if you find a good deal. Buying can be less expensive than renting in the long run. Plus, you get to keep them for future entertaining. For centerpieces, remember a crucial design tip we heard. Keep them either low enough or high enough so guests can easily see and talk to each other across the table. Nothing worse than a centerpiece wall.
Good point. So what are some inexpensive centerpiece ideas?
A simple glass cake pedestal, maybe picked up secondhand, adorned with beautifully arranged sugared fruits like grapes, pears, maybe some berries dusted with sugar, and a single elegant pillar candle makes a stunning and surprisingly inexpensive centerpiece that looks very high-end.
Sugared fruit, how lovely.
You can add to the sparkle and ambiance by placing candles in simple glass votive holders scattered around the centerpiece. Just remember the practical tip. Place about ½ inch of water in the bottom of each holder before putting the candle in. Makes wax removal later a breeze.
Pro tip. Okay, any creative ideas for place cards or table numbers?
Yes. For more formal receptions where you need assigned seating, here's a creative twist instead of boring numbered tables. Purchase large, plain sugar cookies. Then, using icing, pipe romantic words like joy, hope, love, or forever on each one. Place one-word cookie prominently in each table's centerpiece.
So guests look for the love table instead of table 5.
Exactly. You direct guests to find their seat at these romantically identified tables. It's charming, memorable, totally unique, and it doubles as a little pre-dinner treat.
That is adorable. I love that. Okay, finally in this section, what about thoughtful keepsakes for the wedding party and guests? Favors can feel like a waste sometimes, and gifts for bridesmaids and groomsmen can get pricey.
Totally agree. Favors that double as place cards are a brilliant dual-purpose idea we already touched on. Those sugar cookies, again, purchase them from a local bakery, maybe iced in white or your wedding color. Then pipe each guest's name on the cookies a day or two before the wedding.
Personalized cookie place cards.
Yes. Place them in little, clear cellophane bags, tie them with a ribbon that matches your theme, and set them at each guest's place setting. It's personal, it's edible, so less likely to be left behind, and it completely eliminates the need for separate favors and separate place cards. 2 birds, 1 delicious stone.
Very efficient. What about gifts for the wedding party?
Instead of expensive generic gifts, consider handmade keepsakes. For your bridesmaids, for example, create beautiful, unique cards. Purchase simple white note cards and envelopes. Decorate the front using your wedding's theme colors, maybe with scraps of fabric, pressed flowers, small trinkets or beads from a craft department. Then inside, write a cherished memory you share with that person, or a heartfelt personal note about why you value their friendship and support.
A meaningful letter instead of a thing.
Precisely. It costs very little money, but means a great deal more than an expensive, perhaps impersonal gift. It's truly the thought, the time, and the personal touch that resonate and will be remembered long after the day is over.
It's honestly amazing how much you can do with a little creativity. A trip to the craft store, maybe a local bakery. You really don't have to sacrifice elegance or meaning to save money. Now, one more specific scenario. For those couples dreaming of saying, I do, under the open sky, perhaps in a beautiful garden, a park, or by a scenic view, are there special budget considerations or potential hidden costs for outdoor weddings that we need to be aware of? They often seem so idyllic and naturally beautiful, but I imagine there are practicalities involved that might affect the budget.
You're absolutely right. They are often idyllic, but they definitely require a different kind of foresight and planning. If we connect this back to the bigger picture of budget planning, outdoor weddings certainly offer incredible natural beauty and a unique, often breathtaking backdrop. But they also come with their own specific set of considerations.
Things you wouldn't think about indoors.
Exactly. And if these aren't addressed proactively, they can lead to unexpected expenses down the line or potentially significant discomfort for your guests. The key, as always with budget planning, it seems, is careful preparation and anticipating Mother Nature's potential whims.
Okay, so what should couples planning an outdoor wedding focus on?
Let's break down climate and comfort considerations first. This is huge. Number one, try to plan your wedding for a time of year that is historically unlikely to have inclement weather in your chosen specific area. Don't just guess based on the season, actually study the weather history. Look up average temperatures, typical rainfall amounts, even humidity levels for your specific date range in that location.
Do your homework on the weather.
Absolutely. This gives you the best possible chance for clear skies and comfortable conditions. Then guest comfort is paramount, especially if you're having, say, a summertime wedding in a warm climate. You must ensure plenty of refreshing beverages, lots of water, maybe juices are easily available throughout both the ceremony and the reception to prevent dehydration. People can get uncomfortable or even unwell quite quickly in the heat.
Good point. What about shade?
Shade is also paramount, critically important. Provide guests with as much shade as possible. This could mean renting a large tent or canopy, or strategically choosing a setting with numerous large trees and timing the event, especially the ceremony, for when those trees will provide peak shade. For instance, if you're having an afternoon ceremony, try to ensure the sun won't be directly in your guests' eyes as they watch you.
Thinking about the sun's angle.
Exactly. And if you have a lot of out-of-town guests coming, consider going the extra mile. Prepare a small welcome package or email that includes details about the typical weather expectations for your wedding date so they can pack appropriate clothing. You might even consider sending a quick weather prediction update via email a few days prior, just in case of any unseasonable forecasts.
That's really thoughtful.
It helps manage expectations and comfort. And of course, this applies to the couple too. Brides and grooms should dress for the conditions. A heavy, strapless gown might not be the most comfortable or practical choice for a chilly, windy fall wedding, just as long sleeves and heavy fabrics aren't ideal for a hot summer afternoon outdoors. Your comfort and the comfort of your guests directly impacts the overall enjoyment and the lasting memories of the day.
Those are all excellent points about comfort that could easily be overlooked in the excitement of planning an outdoor setting. What about the logistics? Beyond comfort, what practical considerations are unique to an outdoor setting that could potentially impact the budget or the guest experience?
That leads us neatly into practical logistics for outdoor settings. One crucial, often missed practical tip is sun positioning for the ceremony itself. Try to set up the ceremony area so the sun is generally at the guests' backs, not shining directly into their faces.
So they aren't squinting at you.
Exactly. For example, for a morning wedding, you typically want to position the seating so it faces generally west, away from the rising sun. It makes a huge difference in their comfort, their ability to actually see you clearly, and frankly, the quality of your ceremony photos. No squinting faces.
Makes sense. What else?
Another common challenge outdoors is acoustics. Sound just doesn't carry well in open air. Guests, especially those sitting further back, often struggle to hear what's being said during the vows or any readings or speeches.
And the video might not pick it up either.
Precisely. Wedding videos may not pick up the words of the officiant or your vows clearly amidst ambient noise like wind, birds, or distant traffic. For this reason, it is highly advisable to utilize a public address system, a PA system, during the ceremony.
Like a microphone and speaker.
Just a simple microphone for the officiant, maybe one for you two for the vows, and a couple of speakers. This ensures everyone, even those in the back rows, can clearly hear those vitally important words. You can usually rent a basic PA system quite affordably from audiovisual companies or even music stores. And it's a relatively small investment that guarantees the heart of your ceremony is actually heard and remembered by everyone present.
That seems essential, actually.
Addressing these kinds of practicalities upfront prevents later disappointment, guest frustration, or potential additional costs for trying to find last-minute emergency solutions on the day.
So it sounds like with a bit of foresight and that careful preparation, an outdoor wedding can definitely be both stunningly beautiful and budget-friendly, too. It all comes back again to that initial thoughtful planning and being proactive, which really echoes the central theme of this entire deep dive, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Planning is power when it comes to weddings on a budget. Hashtag outro.
Wow, what a deep dive that was into creating a truly memorable wedding without the financial hangover afterwards. We've covered so much ground, from those absolutely crucial initial budget conversations and fostering that shared vision.
Getting on the same page from day one.
Right, all the way through to finding unique and really creative alternatives for almost every single aspect of your big day, from the venue and the attire down to the decorations, the entertainment, and even those thoughtful guest favors. It really feels like a comprehensive step-by-step guide to making your dream wedding a reality within your means.
Indeed. And if we connect all these steps back to the bigger picture, it's crystal clear, I think, that the essence of a truly successful budget-friendly wedding isn't really about compromise in a negative sense.
Yeah.
It's much more about intention, collaboration, and unleashing your creativity.
Using your resources wisely.
Exactly. By focusing on what truly matters to you as a couple, and by leveraging the resources around you, whether that's your community of friends and family, or just your own ingenuity, you can achieve truly remarkable results. As one source put it so well, and it's worth repeating, you can have your dream wedding without the nightmare of huge bills by simply being resourceful and planning wisely.
It's about crafting a day that reflects you.
Authentically you, rather than just conforming to some external pressure or expectation of extravagance.
So, what does all this mean for you, our listener, as you perhaps embark on this exciting, maybe slightly daunting journey? It means your wedding budget isn't a limitation. It's actually a canvas for your imagination. You can absolutely have that elegant, beautiful, and truly happy day without breaking the bank. And importantly, without looking back later wishing you had done things differently or spent more than you could really afford.
It's about building joyful memories and a strong financial foundation for your future together, not starting out by accumulating debt.
Absolutely.
Which raises, I think, an important final question for you to consider as you plan. Beyond the tangible savings, the dollars and cents, what unexpected emotional or relational benefits might come from actively involving your community, your friends, your family, and infusing so much personal effort and creativity into your wedding day, rather than simply outsourcing every single detail to expensive professionals?
That's interesting. Like, what's the non-financial value?
Exactly. Think about the deeper connections that might be forged through that shared effort, the collective pride in building something so significant yourselves, and the unique personal stories you'll tell and retell for years and years to come about how your wedding truly came together.
That is definitely something powerful to mull over as you embark on your own wedding planning journey. We really hope this deep dive has armed you with the insights, the practical steps, and the confidence to plan a wedding that is perfectly you, authentically you, and perfectly within your means. Until next time, keep diving deep.